Today Games Workshop has given us some official confirmation of multiple big Death Guard buffs. We've got 2 Wound Plague Marines, possessed on steroids, and some crafty hints of new army-wide special rules. Hello and welcome back to Auspex Tactics, where today we're going to be talking over the Death Guard previews to the Warhammer community article, which I will link in the video description. It's going to be interesting to see the first Chaos Codex of 9th edition, as I'm sure it's going to provide the Death Guard with some interesting new options, but also talk of what's to come for the other Chaos Dexes. First up, and most mysteriously, we know that Death Guard are going to get some new army-wide special rules. These are called Remorseless and Contagion of Nurgle, which it sounds like at least all Death Guard troops get, as they've confirmed that both the Plague Marines and the Possessed will get it. I am going to guess that this Remorseless special rule might be instead of Inexorable Advance. That's the Death Guard bolter buff that gives their rapid fires an 18-inch rapid fire range. A rule that I'd describe isn't too bad, but isn't all that powerful now we have bolter discipline, and a lot of things will just rapid fire out to 24 inches anyway, either troops standing still or Terminators wherever they are. And I think it would be quite nice to see that Legion tactic revamped a bit. No real clue as to what Remorseless is going to mean yet. Maybe it might be like some of the Space Marine chapter tactics, where they kept the original part of their chapter tactic, but had it expanded with another additional special rule. Contagion of Nurgle also sounds quite intriguing. To me that sounds like it could be a bit more of an army-wide special rule, maybe something akin to Space Marine combat doctrines or Admech Canticles of the Omnissiah. Quite a lot of factions have additional army-wide special rules in one form or another now. The Death Guard aren't one of them, and it might be a new sign that all armies are going to get one in 9th edition, for example like Necrons with their command protocols, which they didn't have before their 9th Codex. In any case, it's going to be fun to see what those are. Perhaps the biggest solid news of the day though is that Plague Marines are going to 2 wounds and 2 attacks each, which means they're going to be much tougher against small armor spire. In their current incarnation, damage 1 weapons can be really quite effective against them and scythe through a squad pretty quickly. That's really not going to be the case anymore, and mortal wounds aren't going to be as much of a credible threat to them as they were either. I have already recorded a video discussing the 2 wound Plague Marine change. Hopefully that should be out sometime over the next few days, and I'll talk about the maths of the disgusting resilience just a little bit more. 2 attacks with those plague knives is another little nice to have as well. It'll really help them go through light infantry, and this all could be a bit of an indication for things to come for the other Cult Marines. I find it unlikely that Thousand Sons Rubric Marines won't be gaining 2 wounds and 2 attacks as well. I think it's a really good positive change for these elites. Death Guard have always been at least somewhat resilient, but some of the other Cult Marines such as Berserkers and Noise Marines always had a bit of a problem with staying power, and this could help them be a little bit less of glass hammers than they are right now. The next news is that the Chaos Possessed in the Death Guard Codex are getting more Nurglified. I think it's quite a nice touch to be honest, as the datasheet was basically the same as the Codex Space Marine one in the original Death Guard Codex, and now Death Guard Possessed are going to feel very much an extension of the rest of the army. They're going to be Toughness 5, and their horrifying mutations are going to get Plague weapons. Sounds like a very good thing indeed for them. A lot of the Death Guard synergies do tend to play around with Plague weapons, and I'm sure that will be the case in the new Codex as well. Most interestingly though, Possessed seem to be really buffed in the new Codex. Now rather than having D3 attacks each, they're going to have a flat 4, presumably in addition to Shock Assault. They're really sounding like little combat monsters all of their own right now. They'll be Strength 5 and Toughness 5, hitting 5 times with Strength 5 AP-2 damage 1 attacks. I've no doubt that points costs will go up a bit in line with all those buffs, but they're certainly sounding very scary on paper at the moment. I think the rest of the Heretic Astartes are going to be very envious of some of these boosted stat lines until their codexes come out. Possessed definitely have the potential to be one of the big synergy units for Chaos Codexes, where you can stack a whole bunch of offensive or defensive buffs, and getting exceptionally more killy when they charge into close combat is generally going to be a very good thing. Last but not least, we seem to have some confirmation on the Demon Engines all getting 3+ to hit. We talked about the leaked stats for the Mephitic Blight Hauler on the channel already. It seems to be the same for the Feated Bloat Drone, and now it's also going to be the same for the Defiler. It's also going to be getting even more dangerous in close combat with 5 attacks as well, so we'll be hitting with 6 with Hateful Assault. Despite the buffs, it is really going to depend on the points cost as to how good Defilers are. They are pretty efficient in the Death Guard Codex at the moment, certainly a very solid all-round Demon Engine in my opinion, so hopefully they won't be paying over the odds for these increased abilities and remain fairly strong. Either way, it seems to be continuing the current trends amongst 9th edition, with every single datasheet getting a bit of a rework, and lots of stats and attacks characteristics getting a bit better. It's certainly going to give each faction something to look forward to when they do get their codex. So let me know what you think of the new Death Guard rules down in the comments below. As I said, we'll be discussing Plague Marines in a bit more detail in a future video, so feel free to subscribe if you'd like to see that. If you'd like to support the channel and keep these videos coming, I'd just like to mention the Auspex Tactics Patreon page, which you can find down in the video description. Channel patrons get a fair few advantages, including being able to see certain videos early, regular votes to see what sort of things happen next on the channel, and automatic entry into our monthly prize draws. If any of that sounds good to you, or you'd just like to help support, then the link is down in the video description below. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.